back to my channel. I'm Learning Living Happy and I don't know, and what? I always feel like I should dress up for these videos, but I'm literally wearing, I just want it to be cozy, you know, don't judge me. Like cozy and comfort over everything. And Dad's oversized jumper is literally the comfiest thing you could ever wear, ever. I haven't spoken to whoever is watching for a very long time. This video I will be speaking about fear foods and my experience and how I overcame them, are some useful things that you can try implement into your life if you're recovering from an eating disorder, or if you have like signs of disordered eating and you do have some foods that you feel anxious about eating and you feel like you shouldn't be eating. And this is obviously, don't replace this video for actual professional help if you are suffering from an eating disorder. I'm making these videos because I know these videos helped me and I know it would help others as well, but again, like, if you are suffering, then do get actual professional help too. So, a fear food for me was something that I told myself that was forbidden, basically. Like I can't have those foods. They should be eliminated from my diet. I would be scared even to be around them. Not because I thought they were dangerous, whatever, but I mean, fear foods for me were typically foods I actually really wanted to eat. It's just that I had learnt that they were bad for me and that they were unhealthy, and it was typically foods that were high in calories and higher in fat. And both of those things you learn from diet culture that you should be avoiding, basically, because they ruin your diet, you just put on fat, basically just a load of crap, because no one food is bad for you. That is something you have to understand, that just because something is high in calories doesn't make it bad for you. Just because something is high in fat doesn't mean it's bad for you. And something like full fat Greek yogurt, that is overall, that is such a nutritious food, but I shied away from it. I was scared, like if my mum had used that instead of 0% fat Greek yogurt, I would go crazy. Or olive oil, for example, that is one of the best like healthy fats that you can have in your diet, and I was afraid of it because of its calorie content, even though when I was losing quite a lot of weight and I avoided all fats, I avoided avocados, I avoided peanut butter, I avoided olive oil. If I knew my mum had used olive oil to cook, I would be in tears because I was afraid of it, because we've been taught high fat, high calorie foods should be avoided, and that is not the case. Healthy fats and fats in general, you need those in your diet. You need to be eating fat in order to be healthy. And because we always hear, don't eat that, you shouldn't eat this, avoid high calories, avoid high fat, you think that you need to be avoiding it forever. And that's just, it's so silly. My first tip is to remove food labels. Remove the idea that a salad is good, and remove the idea that a cupcake, for example, is bad. No one food is good and no one food is bad. There is obviously a healthy diet and there is an unhealthy diet, but you can't give me a chocolate and say, is this good or bad? It doesn't work like that. And as soon as you remove those labels, you remove the idea that you can't have certain foods. And once you do that, you break down this idea of fear foods, because if no food is bad, there'll be no reason for you to fear it. Voice crack. There'll be no reason for you to fear it. There'll be no reason for you to avoid it, because it's not a bad food. You have to understand that no food is bad, and we have these foods that we call good, that we put a halo on it as if it's superior to everything else. But if you just had the same salad every single day, you are still going to be nutrient deficient. You won't be healthy. You won't be healthier than any other person just because you have the same salad every single day. It depends what's in it, obviously, but thing about removing food labels is you remove your self-worth from it as well, because I know if back then if I was to have a salad, you immediately go, oh, I've been good today. But what does that even mean? Just you've been good or you've been bad because of what you've eaten, and that's not how it works. A better person by eating a cucumber than if you eat a chocolate. Everything has its place. There's a balance in everything. So yeah, for me, removing food labels is something you learn over time, and it's something you have to work on consistently, because it is very easy for those irrational thoughts to just keep creeping back in. And I speak about this a lot in my videos, that working towards healing your relationship with food and your body takes so much work, and you need to be consistent. Just like with anything, this is your mind that you're talking about, and this is things that you've learned over such a long period of time that you need to break down. So yeah, removing food labels for me, I think that's quite an next thing is removing calorie counting. Now this goes back to the idea of like foods that are high in calories I would tend to avoid, and that's only because I would always make comparisons. So say if I was to have a potato compared to pasta, I know that pasta had more calories, so if I was making that comparison, I would always go into potatoes. Or if I went to, I don't know, if I went to Tesco for a meal deal, this is an example because I did this yesterday, and there's sandwiches and there's wraps and there's pasta. If I chose what I wanted, initially, I would straight away look at the calories and then put it back. And the calories of something shouldn't dictate whether you have it or not, and it shouldn't make you fearful of the food. I just had in my head that lower calorie was always the better option, but that's not the case. And eventually, when I had bad eating habits, I would choose the low calorie option, but I would eat more later in the day. Like I would make up for that subconsciously. Like I was aware of it. I didn't do it for a reason, but I was hungry at the end of the day, and then I'd just give in to loads of food, and that would compensate for the lower calorie option that I chose later in the day. So just because something has calories, that's just energy. The lowest calorie option is not always the best option. And for me, I know if I go to a restaurant and there's calories on the menu, that would go into my head, and that would influence my decision. And I'm not saying you should remove calories forever, like not knowing your calories, because for me it was a good education point to know what's in my food. And overall, like the healthy habits of people, they do roughly know how much they're eating. But for you right now, if you have fear foods and you know that you are scared of higher calorie foods like pizza, like cakes, like desserts, taking away those calories and just viewing those foods as foods and not good or bad, as I said, it just takes away that anxiety so much. You shouldn't feel like you're doing a bad thing by eating these foods, because you have to take into account your mental health as well. These foods are not only to provide you energy, but food isn't just a physical thing. It's a celebration, it's your culture. So removing those calorie and food labels, it allows you to just eat what you want and not put the pressure of, oh my god, that's really high in calories, I can't eat that. Next tip is, actually this might be scary for some people, and it will be scary to begin with, but for some reason when I was struggling, I could easily eat the foods that I didn't have at home if someone else cooked it for me at a restaurant. So I wouldn't have, for example, a whole bowl of pasta at home, but if I went to an Italian restaurant, I could order a pasta dish. Like, it was really, really weird. Like, I might have felt guilty afterwards, but it enabled me to choose what I want. And that comes with practice as well. Like, before I would always just like, oh, I need salad, no dressing, la la la. My diet culture was just drilled in me. But gradually, like, I just I chose what I wanted, and I made it vocal to other people. Like, I was like, oh, I really want this, but should I, like, making decisions back then on what to eat was so hard. Like, I would sit there for a good like 20 minutes just like thinking and thinking and thinking. So when you remove calorie counting and you remove food labels, that gives you less things to think about, if that makes sense. Because the reason I took so long to think about it was I was calculating in my head, and I was thinking, oh, I can't have this, but I can have this. But once you remove that, it's not something you think about. So your decisions can be made just on the basis of what you actually want to eat, instead of numbers and rules that you've learned. And if I was cooking for myself at home, or if it was my mum cooking, I'd always find a way to be able to control it. So I'd be like, oh, I would know what's going into my meal. But when you're giving it into the hands of a restaurant, for example, like, you don't really have that much control, and that's what you need to do, because for so long I felt like I needed to control what I was doing. And usually, like, many people and therapists and experts say it's not really about the food, sometimes it's more about the control and feeling like you need to control something, especially if other things in your life are a bit messy. I don't know, I'm not going into the details of that, but it's a very complicated disorder. But regarding the control aspect, if you go to a restaurant, you don't have control. They're gonna cook however they cook it. You don't know what's in it, you don't know how much of this. And although that's scary, and it can be scary, it also pushes that pressure off of making the decision of what you're going to eat and how you're gonna cook it. And yeah, so, and you can enjoy it. Like, because I actually loved food. Like, I honestly, if people knew me before my eating disorder, they'd probably think, like, how on earth would I have been diagnosed with one? Because I loved eating, I loved all foods, I loved going out, and so going out for restaurants was kind of like my old me, because I just stopped allowing myself to do that, and I would always choose something that I didn't want to eat, because again, it was something I'd learnt and something I thought I should be doing. You always have unconditional permission to eat whatever you want to eat. And again, it's going to sound scary, and you're going to think that you're just going to lose control of everything, eat all the cake in the world for breakfast, lunch and dinner. And to be honest, at the beginning, you might very well feel like that, and that might very well be the case. Like, you might want a chocolate after every meal you have. You might want pizza for lunch and then for dinner. You might want ice cream every night, but that won't be like that forever. You have to realise that that will only happen because you've restricted yourself for so long. And it might not even happen, to be honest, but if it does, don't then shy back away from it and go back to what you were doing before, because that doesn't work. It doesn't work. Allowing yourself to have these foods then tells you that, oh, I can have this whenever I want it, and you won't need to eat it all, and you won't need to have it every single day, because you probably won't be feeling it every single day, if that makes sense. For me, educating myself was so important, and I'm doing a nutrition course, like an online nutrition course, and that is not what you have to do. I'm doing this because I'm quite passionate about it, and I want to bust nutrition myths, educate and empower people, and to help them heal their relationship with food, really. You need to be following the right people that are evidence-based, and not just celebs or influencers that are giving nutrition advice and weight loss advice who don't have that information, who don't have that background. They've just lost weight. Like, it's not evidence-based. And I also found, like, following people like Nutty Foodie Fitness, who is just she has such a healthy relationship with food. Like, you need to be following people that have good relationships with food, who can eat whatever they want and when they want it, and they don't have these good and bad food labels, because you look up to them, and it makes you realise that there is a place that you can be, there is a goal for you, And for me, watching people like Nutty Foodie Fitness, she inspired me, because I was like, I want to be like that. That is my end goal, to eat what I want, when I want it, how much I want, and not feel guilty about it afterwards, and not feel the need to exercise or burn it all off. Like, she was literally an inspiration, and there are so many other people like that on YouTube. And so yeah, I really encourage following people that have a good relationship with food. I don't know how long this video is going to be, but I think that they are all my tips. I know they all helped me, and if no one really told me this information that I'm telling you, and it took me such a long time for me to get to where I am. So hopefully, if this speeds up your recovery and your thought processes and just helps you out a bit more. So I really hope you enjoyed the video. Please like and subscribe, because it really supports my channel, and please share if you think this can help others. Know in the comments if there's anything else that you'd want me to speak about. If you have any questions for me, follow me on my Instagram at Learning Living Happy. And yeah, I always talk for bare long. Don't even know if you can see me right now, to be honest. My throat hurts at the end of this. And I'm literally in pyjamas. Like, what YouTuber am I? I swear no one does this. I've got dried lips. I'm in pyjamas.
Judge me. Living my best life.
You guys must find me really boring, but thank you for watching, and I'll see you soon.